You might remember the uproar when banks and credit cards announced new merchant codes related to gun purchases. It wasn't that long ago. Eventually, the big major credit companies walked back the policy after it created a huge backlash among conservatives and gun owners at large. But it turns out the feds have been using it as an in to collect and comb through the personal information of thousands of gun owners. All in the name of safetyness. Because here it is, 2024, and Orange Man still bad. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. New but frankly unsurprising revelations have come to light out of the federal government this week, courtesy of Jim Jordan. It turns out that after January 6th, the Biden administration ordered banks and credit institutions across the country to spy on their customers and flag any purchases with the words MAGA, Trump, or anything involving guns and ammo. The banks were also told to flag any purchases of Bibles or other religious books, subscriptions to alternative media or websites like ARFCOM, visits to pawn shops, and anything from a provided list of guns and sporting goods stores. They were told to even check Zelle transactions and messages. If someone was found to have bought guns, ammo, or anything at all from Dick's, Cabela's, Bass Pro, or any other shop on the list, the banks were then charged with watching the accounts and alerting the feds to anything related to travel. Gas purchases, bus tickets, rental cars, plane tickets, hotels, the list goes on and on. This would give the banks and the feds a complete picture of the gun owners' habits and whereabouts, including their personal information. Spying without a warrant. So now, if you're a conservative watching Crowder or One America News who bought a gun, happened to have car trouble and had to get a rental car for a few days, you're on the government's watch list, courtesy of your bank or credit card company. Actually, you would be on that list with even just one of those indicators. Apparently. But before I get to the rest of the details, here's a word about today's sponsor. If you've been a viewer on this channel for a while, you might remember that in June 2020, I was doxxed for my political views. Not only did I receive threats from BLM, but I also had people trying to get my livelihood taken away just because they didn't like my politics. Now, most folks won't have that crazy experience that I had, but that doesn't mean that your information is any more private. There are companies out there whose sole purpose is to crawl the internet and government records for your personal information and habits just to sell it to someone else. And that someone else could be anyone from a marketing company to someone looking to steal your identity. Or these days, it could even be a news outlet looking to punish you for owning guns. That is why I have partnered with a service called Delete Me to make sure that my personal information stays private. Delete Me works to remove your personal information from hundreds of data brokers and websites, and they continually search and delete that information if and when it pops up in new places. What's really crazy is that I actually purchased a similar service from a different company a few months ago who claimed to have scrubbed all of my data as recently as last month. And even after that, Delete Me found 122 pieces of my information across multiple websites. And they were able to remove me from 25 of those within 48 hours. I know this because they also give you a full report of every website searched, every site that had your information, what information the site had, and every site they're removing it from. And now, to help me bring you guys peace of mind, Delete Me is offering my viewers 20% off of their consumer plan using promo code LibertyDoll at my link, joindeleteme.com/LibertyDoll, which you can also find down in the description. So check them out today to get control over your information. The government gave the banks these instructions all in the name of fighting extremism and rooting out possible mass shooters, lone wolf actors, and, quote, various persons of interest. Persons engaged in exercising their Second Amendment rights and protected political and religious expression. I mean, specifically targeting outdoor and gun retailers, Bible purchases, subscribers to Newsmax or Daily Wire, and anything with the words Trump or MAGA. It's pretty obvious who they're going after. And of course, this isn't the first time the government has targeted conservatives. It's just Biden continuing Obama's legacy. And the left loves Obama. All of these secret directives were revealed by Jim Jordan from the House Judiciary Committee in a letter written to the Treasury Department where he requested a meeting with the former, ready for this, the former director of the Treasury Department's Office of Stakeholder Integration and Engagement in the Strategic Operations Division of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN for short, Noah Bischoff. Talk about a mouthful of bureaucracy. The letter was written in Jordan's capacity as part of a committee on the weaponization of government. The letter states that he and the subcommittee believe that Bischoff has additional information on the government's illegal spying on Americans. The letter includes a slide of search terms the government wanted banks and credit cards to search for. The list has more than 100 terms, gun companies, and retailers, and is not an exhaustive list. It includes everything from Glock to ARFCOM, Cheaper Than Dirt, and even Delta Defense, which is USCCA's parent company. The slide claims that these search terms will provide law enforcement with the names of potential mass shooters and their address and all the other personal information, which is ridiculous because pretty much all the mass shooters were already known to the feds, so they shouldn't need the banks to provide them with a list. They know who they are. But that's not all. Jordan also sent a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray to request an interview with FBI officials because it turns out that the FBI had requested information from Bank of America on any historical gun purchase of a gun 6 months before January 6th, 2021, of anyone who had been in Washington, D.C. any time around January 6th. So you could be a gun owner who just so happened to be on a family trip in DC the day before, and the government used that as grounds to get your personal information and spy on you and get a picture of everything that you did and bought for 6 months before that trip. Jordan wrote, "This kind of pervasive financial surveillance, carried out in coordination with and at the request of federal law enforcement into Americans' private transactions, is alarming and raises serious doubts about FinCEN's respect for fundamental civil liberties." Sorry, y'all, I'm getting riled up. I feel like I sound like Alex Jones over here. I need the gravelly voice. Actually, pretty much everything in the Biden administration has made me feel that way. Anyway, now the big question is, what will happen to the Biden administration, the officials who ordered this, and the banks who went along with it? A big, fat nothing. Why? Because Americans didn't even care that much when they found out Obama was using the NSA against its own citizens, and they didn't have the same level of flat-out vitriol for political rivals that they do now. The people who scream the loudest absolutely hate Trump, his supporters, and by extension, anyone who hits anywhere right of Bernie Sanders, and the media tell them that we're the problem. We are the ones terrorizing America, not our own government, and so we need to be stopped by any means necessary to continue and preserve Joe Biden's 1984 utopia that is nowhere based in reality. We already knew that gun owners are public enemy number one as far as the establishment is concerned. It's just now that a handful of folks in Washington are finally talking about it. But let me tell you, I am not holding my breath. All right, folks, that is it for this video. I have just ranted myself hoarse, so I'm gonna shut it down. You guys know the drill for all of the algorithms to help out the channel and the video. And as always, thanks for tuning in and happy shooting.